It's Friday, 21st of February, and it's time to gather around the warm glow of a tube amplifier, because this week we received not one, but two portable tube DACs, the Ibaso Nunchaku and the Earman lamp. So we'll get right into those, but first of all, shout out to everyone in Queensland once again. We're going to be at Brisbane Square Library on Saturday 8th of March to do 3D ear scans for custom IEMs and earplugs. So if you're keen on a custom IEM, we're going to be bringing demos from 64 Audio and Ultimate Ears, and you can make a booking for a 3D scan if you follow the link in the description of the video. So we'll see you there. So now let's talk about these tiny tube amps. First of all, this is the Ibaso Nunchaku, which is a small dual tube amplifier and DAC, which is in the same form factor as the very popular DC Elite. Now, this one actually costs a little bit less than the DC Elite, but for the price, you actually get a few quality of life improvements. Number one, the volume knob sticks out a bit more, so it's easier to turn. You get an OLED display so you can see what you're doing. And perhaps most importantly, the volume control doesn't have the, let's say, unique attributes of the volume control on the DC Elite. So you don't have any of that channel imbalance as you turn the volume knob. But how does it sound? Well, the Nunchaku actually has the dual Raytheon JAN6418 tubes like the K and N3 Ultra, and they actually sound quite similar. So same with the N3 Ultra, the tubes don't make the sound significantly warmer, but they do make the highs a little bit more hazy, so you get a slightly blunted attack with the tubes. And if you have a brighter headphone, something that's a bit more harsh, the tubes can certainly take the edge off. You can also switch the Nunchaku into Class AB solid state mode, and in that mode it's a little bit more punchy, a bit more resolving, but I think in both modes it's actually fairly neutral sounding and it's a nice sounding DAC. So because this is a tube amplifier, Ibaso specifically warns you that when you use the Nunchaku in tube mode, you might experience some ringing tube noise when you move the unit or when you tap it, and you might experience some EMI interference when you use it with a smartphone. But I actually think that Ibaso is being fairly conservative here, because in practice when using this amplifier, even with quite sensitive IEMs, it was hard for me to detect any kind of noise at all, even when we're smacking the unit. So I think that the tubes in this unit are really well shock mounted and it's well designed for portable use. Which brings me to the Earman lamp. Now the lamp is a limited edition product, and I would say first of all, this thing rings like crazy. So you'll get tube ringing if you tap the unit, you'll get tube ringing if you insert a headphone, you'll even get tube ringing when you press the buttons to change the volume. Earman does put a IEM switch on this unit so that you can use it with earphones at a lower gain setting, but in practice I found that even with any sort of moderately sensitive earphone, you will pick up a lot of tube noise. So I wouldn't use this unit portably. I wouldn't use this unit with earphones. I would just put it on the table and I would not touch it. And when you don't touch the Earman lamp, it sounds great. So when people talk about tube amplifiers sounding warmer and having that kind of euphonic distortion, that's exactly what you get with the lamp. It's a rich kind of warm, thick sound coming out of this amplifier. This is the perfect sound to just sit down, and the key word is sit down and relax with, and you enjoy a rich output and a surprisingly powerful 1 watt at 8 ohms. So what we have here is a classic tale of two tubes. We've got the Ibaso Nunchaku, which is a small and fun and practical way to get into tubes, and we have the Earman lamp, which is charming and quirky, but a little bit impractical. So come in, let us know what you think of these. This is Lachlan for Minidisc TV, and we'll see you next week.